In today's Gran Turismo 7 video, we take on the latest daily race C, where there is a big change that has been implemented into this race. Now, I want to hear everyone's opinion with regards to this, whether you're a low rank driver or a high rank driver. I'm interested to see the differences because I think there might be a change of opinion depending on your rank. So let's have a look here. We can see that we have two separate tyres required. However, there is a gap between the tyres. We have racing soft and racing hard tyres. And we also are back to the custom Slipstream, which I actually think might be the correct choice for this track for very big reasons, which we're going to talk about as we get into this race. So let's have a look at the lobby we're joining. This was on Monday. I'm in the McLaren, a few different cars being used at this stage, and we can see here it's quite a competitive race that we are entering. Now, this race has kind of migrated to the RCZ. However, I still believe that a lot of these other cars are not that far off and can compete reasonably well as well, because the McLaren definitely has the pace to match the RCZ and actually has better tyre wear. So I will probably jump back into some different cars when I next go onto this race after we've done the GT World Series. So let me know what you think about this change between having the soft and the hard tyres, your compulsory tyres. Now, my personal belief on this, after doing quite a few races and seeing the pros and the cons of this, is that it's actually not been the greatest track to do this change on. As a rule, I think it's a brilliant move. If this would have been, for example, in my opinion, at Spa, I think the soft and the hard tyre would have meant for some pretty interesting racing, because the soft tyre would have definitely been able to overtake a lot easier. However, on this track, there isn't really any heavy braking zones. If you look at the layout, it's a lot of mid-speed corners, very short accelerations into other mid-speed corners. They're not heavy braking zones after long straights, and this really does make it very, very difficult for the soft tyre to really gain any advantage, because most of the time gained is in the braking and on the traction out of corners. But when they're all mid-speed corners, as we go past Manu there after he's had a penalty, it just makes it very, very difficult. It's very much a following track, follow the leader, and if you've got multiple cars in front of you, it makes starting on the soft tyre almost impossible at this combination. You're pretty much in the top lobbies, you have to start on the hard tyre, because we've experienced it a number of times. It's very frustrating. You just get stuck behind them. You can't really go for a move unless you want to risk wiping other cars out, and that's not what we want to do. We want to try and drive without wiping cars into the walls and stuff. So it's just made for a very difficult race if you accidentally start on the soft tyres, which we have done twice, and both races have pretty much been ruined by it. So yeah, in terms of the track layout, I don't think this is the best track to do this soft and hard tyre, but do I like that they've done this change? 100%. In my view, this is a brilliant move by Gran Turismo. It's just unfortunate they picked the wrong track to do it. But what I would like to do is make sure that we encourage them in terms of doing this in the future, because I would love to see a race where actually all three tyres are being used as well for a longer race. That is one thing I'm still waiting for Gran Turismo 7 to do, where they introduce a race of 35 to 40 minutes distance and all three tyres are compulsory within that race. This would have been actually a reasonable opportunity to do that for this combination, because if all three tyres, you could have got in the pits, got some clean air, and it would have made some different strategies a little bit more viable. But as an overall race, I think a lot of people would agree it's still a fun combination, and that is my viewpoint on this combination. I definitely think this has been a success. It's still enjoyable. There definitely is more than one car usable for this race. Again, because of that change in the BOP, it's definitely improving the racing. Let me know what you think with regards to the car variety that's available for this combination. Let me know what you think with regards to this race as a general race, even though it's very difficult to overtake when you're behind in this combination. For me, I still think it's been a very fun combination. There is a slight strategy element. You can pit, if you start on the hard tyres, you can technically pit lap 4, but you will struggle on that final lap, and you'll find that the cars that pitted lap 5, if they've worked well together, will come back at you and have a little bit of advantage at the end. But it is definitely possible to do that slight earlier pit stop and get quite a big undercut. If you feel you've got the pace, it can 100% work, because you get a 1.5 second undercut to other cars. Now we can see the slipstream taking effect here as we go for a move on P3, and you can see there we just about managed to get that move done, even though we were only 3 tenths at the start straight behind. So I do feel the custom slipstream is working better here than what the real slipstream possibly would have worked. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the custom slipstream feels as strong on this combination as it has at other tracks. I'm not sure. Maybe there's been a slight change to that. I can't really tell, but On this track, it seems like the custom slipstream, as Damien takes a penalty there and giving me the opportunity to go right up the inside here and get myself up into P2. It does feel like that custom slipstream doesn't feel as effective on this track, and part of the reason probably for that is this long straight here isn't really an all straight, is it? It's a power section with a lot of corners in, so you're kind of breaking that slipstream as you power through these corners, and then the slipstream only really kicks in full effect now once you're on the straight, and from here to the braking zone isn't the longest distance. So I do think that's why PD decided to use the custom slipstream, and I actually think that was the correct decision, and it's quite good to see that they actually took a bit of time to think about that with regards to using it. So some tracks, definitely the custom slipstream still will be the advisable way to go racing. I think real slipstream is more suited to them tracks where following is a lot easier, like Spa for example. The real slipstream would have worked better at Spa and certain other tracks like we had at Monza as well. It worked fine. Now we can see here just how close this racing is. We've got a group of 6 cars very, very close together in this battle, and we've got a car, I think P4 there, with a penalty, so he's going to drop back, and that penalty zone, one benefit for this track is there's no way to go on the grass. If you get a penalty, you're going to take that full penalty. You can't just go like half on the grass to reduce that time slot that you get when you get the penalty, because when you brake on the grass you lose a little bit less time. So a lot of people have been doing that recently. I've done it. It does work. It gains you about a tenth. It's not a massive amount, but when you're at this level you do have to try and find them extra tenths here and there, and a lot of people are doing that. But on this track, thankfully, you can't do that, and I definitely think that's better. However, what you can do is you can go all the way to the right and turn sharply. That will reduce the time that you take in the penalty zone as well, because the front tyres are obviously sliding slightly, so you don't lose as much when you do that. Now we're still in P2 here. We've got Damien right behind us putting us under some pressure. Now there is obviously an option to pit early at this stage of the race and try and give yourself a bit of a gap to the car behind, and the McLaren probably is one of the better cars to do that strategy. It's very good on the front tyres. However, even in the McLaren, it does make them final laps very, very tricky to drive with completely worn tyres. So you can see here we're going to stay out, and you can see there Damien actually bump drafting us here. I think he just wants to work with us because there's a group of cars behind us, and he's going to maybe try something different when it comes to the pit stop phase. But yeah, it's great to see again other cars being used on the Monday, and in all honesty it did look to me like the other cars didn't look that much slower than the RCZ. Now everyone is in the RCZ now, but I still think there is a lot of competitive cars here, which we'll try maybe on Friday and try some different cars out. As we're going to go into the pits, and you can see there Damien decided to stay out. Now this strategy isn't something I would recommend. However, it can work if you find that there's battling and you think you've got the pace to get past other cars. So you can see myself, Manu and Floris there, I think it is, had gone into the pits the lap earlier on lap 5, which is the optimal way to do it. 5 laps on the hard, 4 laps on the soft tyre is probably the optimal way to run this race. But you can see by the time we get out onto the main straight here and starting lap 7, you can see that Damien is just coming out of the pits, and he's going to lose quite a big chunk of time there, because obviously he's had to do that extra lap on the hard tyres. He's going to lose 1.5 seconds straight away by that, and he's actually dropped himself down to P5. But he is going to have the better tyres when he gets to the end of the race. Now we're going to skip a little bit further ahead here onto lap 8, and you can see there we've got Manu in that Lexus right up behind us, and we have a little moment there where we clip the wall with a bit of understeer, and that gives Manu the chance to get right up behind us. However, as we come through these corners, you can see the loss of area that you're going to get when you're very, very close. He's not able to stay right with us. He has a little look up the inside here, but he's too far back to go for a send, and we're able to cover that off and keep ourselves in P2. And then we're going to come to this section. This is the big section of what causes the issue with being able to overtake here. It's pretty much impossible to get moved on the whole of the middle part of this lap, because there's no real zones. It's all about just following the leader through here. There's no opportunities to go for an overtake. You just have to go line astern, follow as a train, and wait for the straights really. And that's where the soft and hard tyre is a big issue for me personally. Now we're going to see here that Floris is going to go for a move up the inside of Manu there. You've got a good run out the corner, and they're going to go side by side. You see, you can't really get yourself ahead, and there's an issue here. He hits the curb, and he actually runs Manu a little bit wide there. So maybe a little bit dodgy that, but it helps us get away. However, that has meant that Damien behind me on them fresher tyres is now only one second behind, and we've got to try and drive this very, very well. You can see the tyre wear on there, and it's not looking great. With front tyres are pretty worn. They still got enough life to get round. Now, obviously, this was done early on the Monday when our ability at driving on these tyres was, let's say, not the greatest. We definitely improved as we went through, and obviously on the Tuesday as well, improved a bit. Got a little bit better driving on them worn tyres. However, you can see there, Damien straight away gaining 3-4 tenths on that acceleration, where them fresher soft tyres are really taking effect, and he's really pushing that Genesis. The Genesis definitely looks viable, along with quite a few other cars in the race pace. So hopefully by Friday we'll start seeing some other cars being used. Maybe we'll try some different cars out at some point, either Friday or on the weekend after we've done the GTL series races. We make a big mistake there. You can see just how close Damien is now on them fresher tyres. So this is going to be a battle to the finish for P2. We're going to have to try and drive very defensive. Now, this is another thing I want to bring up that is a big issue on Gran Turismo 7 at the moment. The lag. Watch Damien's car in the mirror here. Big lag spike. And it actually causes him to drop off from us, which actually helps me out. But we also got the lag spike there. You could feel it when driving it. And we've had many of them lag spikes happening for everyone. Everyone's been talking about it in the races. It's been happening since the update, worse than what it was before. And it's a little bit concerning because it seems to be like 2 to 3 of them lag spikes every single race. And I really hope PD haven't done something to the servers that have caused this issue. But let's cross our fingers and hope they can get it solved, especially for the GTL series. Now you can see here, as we're coming to the finish straight, Damien is right up behind us. Now the Genesis is quicker on acceleration. However, the McLaren has that party piece that is 5th gear. And this is going to be a drag race all the way to the finishing line. You can see Damien gets himself ahead. However, McLaren's 5th gear takes over, and we just creep that P2 right at the finish. And you can see just how close that ended up between me and Damien. An absolute photo finish there at the end. And a really exciting race. I have to say, it's still an exciting race. Even though it's a pretty simple strategy, you're going to have to start on the hard tyres and then go to the soft tyres. It's a shame that it hasn't worked as intended, but it's great to see Gran Turismo trying new things. And even if it fails, it's good that they're trying, because they will get it right eventually. It just needed a different track. Maybe longer race in this with slightly lower tyre wear would have helped as well. But yeah, overall, great combo. Could have been better. And it's great to see them trying new things. Let me know what your opinion is of this race. I'm really interested to hear that. And I'll be back with more videos in the future. Take care, everyone.